Tonight, it's March 25, 2025, and I am Yada Parlade, your host once again. And thanks to SME Pinoy Tech Talks and NICP, we shall be hosting another cybersecurity webinar entitled Paano Protektahan ang Negosyo sa Cybercrimes. If you guys can remember the last time we had a cybersecurity webinar, napag-usapan po natin kung paano natin protektahan ang ating mga sarili from cybercrimes. This time, we're taking it one step higher, one level higher, and matututunan naman po natin ngayon kung paano natin proprotektahan ang ating mga negosyo against cybercrimes. So, without much ado, let's get into it. Okay. Ayan, so SME Pinoy Tech Talks has the objective of delivering cost-effective, high-impact Zoom webinars nationwide, initially focused on cybersecurity and AI. SME Pinoy Tech Talks is an online IT capacity building series po by SME Pinoy in partnership with NICP or National ICT Confederation of the Philippines, NICP Junior, and CIO Philippines, designed to upskill SMEs, citizens, and students in Taytay Rizal through different Taytay Rizal ICT councils using Zoom-based sessions like tonight. Ayan, so check po muna tayo how many participants we have. So far, we have a total of 12 participants in the meeting. Please feel free to share this link po, no, sa ating mga loved ones, or if may kilala po tayong mga business owners who are promoting their businesses online so that they can also learn alongside us. Okay, so to go through the program flow, we shall be having our opening and speaker intro. And then, of course, tayo po ay dadako sa ating main talk. And if you have any clarifications or questions, we have time allotted for Q&A. And yan, meron din po tayong time allotted for our sponsors talk, video. And last but not the least, magkakaroon din po tayo syempre ng recap where we'll be making sure that everything that was talked about tonight is mako-concretize and may embed po talaga and matatandaan natin for the days to come. And we really can be protecting ourselves from cybercrimes. Thanks to NICP and RT and Co as well as SME Pinoy. Yan, speaking of partners that we shall be thanking for making this night and this webinar happen, we have, of course, Globe Business, where we know Globe as an internet service provider here in the Philippines, but with Globe Business, they're making sure that they can connect your business to the world as well, not just to your local areas. Ayan. So connectivity is a thing assured. And then, of course, we have RT and Co Cybersecurity, where they live, think, and work cybersecurity. Thank you, RT and Co. We also have Service Technologies. They are a cybersecurity service provider for Filipinos, and they're based in Katipunan, Quezon City. And then, of course, we have ACTS or Advanced Center for Technological Studies, where they are a TESDA accredited training and assessment center. Ayan, so naka-base po sila sa Antipolo, Rizal. And then, of course, we have TechNet 88, an internet service provider serving Filipinos in Antipolo, Rizal. Yan. So thank you po to our sponsors. Now we shall be talking about a little bit about who and what does NICP do. NICP, or National ICT Confederation of the Philippines, is the national venue for collaboration. They develop the member organizations through the sharing of best practices, among others, and they are gearing towards being the unified voice for the Philippine information and communications technology industry. They promote ICT all throughout the country and support each of the councils and boards in order to help strengthen the ICT in their areas and create more jobs for the Filipinos. Oh, hold on. Ayan. So, hello, hello, everyone. I'm back. Sorry, may technical difficulties lang po. But that is NICP. They help strengthen the ICT in their areas and they help create more jobs for the Filipinos, which is what we need, especially na padami ng padami ang mga crisis lately. Next, let's talk about CIO Philippines or Chief Information Officers Philippines. They are an unbiased safe haven for IT executives who are seeking professional advancement. They are also developing leadership skill sets and they showcase their successes and make better, more informed decisions. So, CIO Philippines differentiates itself from other leadership training programs by focusing on, of course, real issues and problems in the business environment. This program provides IT management professionals the opportunity to engage with and learn from successful CIOs and collaborate with peers on a local and global level. So, as we can see, ang mga partners po natin tonight are really helping in their own respective ways and manners, helping the Filipinos to achieve a healthier cyber environment for all. And of course, tinutulungan din po na maka-achieve ng more growth and more opportunities for their businesses. So, yan, very growth centered po tayo tonight. Yan, so please feel free to check out the business page of NICP, NICP Junior. You can find them on Facebook as well as our other partners po for the night, where they are empowering youth. NICP Junior is empowering youth and they are shaping the digital future. Of course, guide nila ang next generation to lead with purpose, to create with passion, and to innovate for impact. Yan. So, now po that we have talked about our partners, yan. So these are our sponsors. Once again, thank you very much to Globe Business, where they are prioritizing connectivity, not just for our internet connection, but also for our businesses from our local areas to the world. Thank you to RT and Co Cybersecurity, where they help us protect ourselves from cyber crimes, to Service Technologies, to Advanced Center for Technological Studies Incorporated. If you guys need a TESDA accredited uh, training center, you know where to check them out. They are on LinkedIn and Facebook, as well as TechNet 88, and they are providing internet service connection as well. So feel free to visit them online. You can easily check them out. And yeah, thank you so much, partners and sponsors. Now that we have talked about our sponsors and our partners, let us make dako. Let us talk about our speaker for the evening, si Sir Jonathan Mantua. Jonathan is an experienced IT and cybersecurity professional with over 15 years, grabe po, no, 15 years of international and cross-industry expertise, including finance, healthcare, cloud, and even manufacturing. He specializes in penetration testing, secure code review, incident response, and IT audits aligned with PCI DSS and GDPR and ISO 27001. As CEO and CTO of his firm, he leads a team providing security services in the Philippines and even in Singapore, advising clients from startups to major banks on securing their business critical information. So, grabe, very qualified po ang ating speaker for the night to talk about how to protect our businesses from cyber crimes. At hindi lang po yon. He is also a senior professional lecturer in computer science and cybersecurity at his alma mater, De La Salle University. This allows him to share his knowledge and passion for technology with the next generation. So that is our speaker po for the night, Sir Jonathan Mantua. Yun. Yan, we are all looking forward to learning a lot from you po for the evening. Yan. Hello po, Sir Jonathan.
All right, good evening. Thank you for that generous introduction.
Yes
So,
po.
to our participants, wonderful evening. So, I do hope na may matutunan kayo, and I'll be talking about how to protect our businesses and why should we even protect our businesses, especially now that a lot of our especially SMEs, they would think na hindi ko naman kailangan ng cybersecurity kasi maliit lang naman kami. Pero hindi, no? So, hopefully, after ng session natin ngayong gabi, may mga ma-pick up tayo ng mga bakit mahalaga and paano po protektahan yung businesses natin. So, number one is cybersecurity is not just an IT topic. No, we usually tell our clients, information security and cybersecurity is not an IT problem. It's a business problem. Kasi yung mga negosyo natin is increasingly employing use of technology from a simple GCash, di ba, or QR code up until eventually mag-upgrade ka, may sarili ka ng inventory management system. Even your Facebook accounts is something that's critical kasi usually SMEs, the Facebook account of the owner is as important as the business itself kasi minsan kayo yung muka ng company, di ba? So, what we'll talk about for tonight is how to understand the risk, know the common attacks, apply practical safeguards, and hopefully we'll be able to follow a clear action plan. Okay? So, cybersecurity is really about protecting your money. Kasi hindi lang siya applicable for banks or giant corporations. Nowadays, attackers are starting to attack smaller companies. Why? Have you guys watched any zombie movies? Nakanood na kayo ng zombie movies? Kasi sa zombie movies, 'di ba? Parang you're not hindi mo naman kailangan ikaw yung pinakamabilis tumakbo. Usually the zombies would just go for the kulelat. And same manner in sa mga akyat bahay. In areas na marami yung akyat bahay, kung sino yung walang grill sa bintana, sila yung atakihin. So same with hackers. They will not attack you for the most part. They will not attack you unless sobrang targeted. Sometimes they will just attack you because they can. So dahil usually yung mga SMEs natin, mas maliit yung investment, mas mahina yung training, limited yung resources sa, even limited yung knowledge, no, sa cybersecurity. Ngayon, mas nagiging susceptible sila sa mga attacks. Hindi dahil sobrang targeted dahil interesado yung mga hackers, but rather, I will hack you because I can. Ganun ang mentality ng mga attackers natin. So, if your business is connected to the internet, accepts digital payments, uses email, stores customer information, you use Facebook to market, to post, or social media, your money, in theory, is exposed to risk. So, definitions muna tayo, no? Itong mga boring na part. Pero still, mahalaga pa rin, no? So, plain definition of cybersecurity, it means protecting your business devices, accounts, files, money, customer information from online attacks, fraud, theft, and disruption. So, it protects money and bank access, of course, it protects customer trust. Imagine nyo, kaya nga nagkaroon tayo ng Data Privacy Act. Bakit? Yung mga ibang negosyo, nagko-kolekta tayo ng information ng mga customers natin. Paano kung nahack tayo? So ngayon yung personal information ng customers na ipinagkatiwala sa inyo, sa mga negosyo natin, pag nahack yung negosyo natin, lalabas yun. So masisira yung tiwala minsan ng mga users natin. And of course, we want to protect our daily operations and mahalaga din ang business reputation natin, no? Oops. Yan. So, bakit kailangan mag-pay attention ng mga medium and small enterprises? Kasi number one, more digital payments. Kahit nga yung nag-fishbowl minsan, yung nagkikwek-kwek. Dito sa amin, malapit may nagkikwek-kwek, may QR code siya. So, we're getting more digital. So, isa din sa mga nagiging challenges ng mga small and medium enterprises natin is at the moment we usually share devices and even passwords. Maraming, kunyari, nagsishare ng login. Minsan yung mga devices, shared din. Kasi lalo na wala pang dedicated na device for the business. Kung ano yung device mo as a person, as a businessman, yung personal na laptop mo, yun din yung laptop na ginagamit mo para sa negosyo mo. So, what if, and nagkaroon na kami ng gantong kaso before, nilaro ng anak niya yung laptop niya, syempre, and then nagkaroon ng virus, malware, nadamay yung files ng negosyo niya. Ang hirap. Unfortunately, nahirapan siya kasi ang nawala is yung records niya, record keeping niya, no? So, nanakaw yun. And lalo na ngayon, na third point is constant yung scam attacks, attempts, mga fake messages, phishing emails, impersonation attacks. Lalo na ngayon, may mga deep fake pa. So, medyo nag-uptick ulit siya because of AI and LLMs and generative AI, na ginagamit din kasi sila ng mga scammers, ng mga attackers. So sometimes it's easier for them to generate fake content, mga convincing na messages, and kung kulang ng training and awareness yung mga businessmen natin, and at the same time yung mga staff natin, baka maging biktima po tayo. So again, Kimas do not always look for the biggest company. They often look for the easiest one to fool. So, common cybercrimes that hit, no? Ang lakas pa rin ng ng impact ng phishing emails. Fairly recently may na-handle kaming incident. Ganun lang, may email, sabi, may shinare akong file sa'yo, download mo to, ito yung code, inunzip niya, ni-run niya na malware sila. So, simpleng phishing email. Business email compromise, lalo na sa SMEs, kasi yung mga tao umuulit ng passwords. Ito yung mga isa number one cause na pag nagfo-forensics kami, nag-incident response kami. Isa yon. Napansin namin nung nag-investigate na kami na compromise yung personal account niya. Tapos eventually, yun din yung gamit niyang password sa business account niya or sa work account niya, nadadamay. So, pagka nangyari na tong phishing and business email compromise, usually account takeover would usually naturally flow through, no? Kaya mahalaga na may OTP tayo, yung mga multi-factor authentication, because it allows attackers na, sige, kahit manakaw mo yung username, password ko, or mahulaan mo siya, at least, kailangan pa rin ng OTP, or minsan may mga authenticator apps, di ba, sa mga may Google Authenticator. Kasi the strongest form of authentication is something you know, something that you have. Yan. Next, isa pa sa mga malakas tumama ngayon sa mga mga businesses natin is yung ransomware. Ma-encrypt yung files mo pag hindi ka nagbayad ng ransom, ipapublish na lang namin sa internet yung information mo. So, or information about your business. And of course, yung kamag-anak nun is data theft. So, ninanakaw nila yung information. And usually, bakit ako nanakawan ng information? Ang liit-liit lang ng negosyo ko, ilan lang customers ko. Kasi may value pa rin sa kanila yan. Isa sa mga may value sa mga hackers natin is yung mga personal information na pinagkatiwala sa atin ng mga customers. So, pwede nilang i-scam naman yung customers nyo. 'Di ba? Isa pa malala pagka for example, business email compromise siya, minsan yung email nyo pa yung ginagamit para pang send ng phishing emails pa. So, parang they're living off the land, no? As we call it. Ang nangyayari, syempre bababa yung reputation ng domain mo kung meron man kayong domain, or kunyari if you're using Gmail, mababan yung Gmail mo or malalock out yung account mo, masususpend yung Facebook, Instagram mo. So still, may damage pa rin sa negosyo natin. So, eto nga, phishing, the most common entry point, no? So, this happens when criminals magsisend sila ng fake na email, text, chat messages, or even social media messages to trick someone into clicking a malicious link. Kaya di ba yung mga sikat na ginagawa ng mga attackers, minsan yung bumibili pa sila ng ads, nagulat ako, kaya nga nirereklamo ng mga tao yan sa Facebook. Yung magfe-fake sila, kunyari may promo sila Beyond the Box, or kunyari may promo sila sa speaker, magsa-sign up ka lang, tapos kopyang-kopya nila yung social media ng Beyond the Box. Pati yung messaging, yung branding on point, on fleek, sabi nga ng mga Gen Z, no? Pero ginagawa nila yan para makapangloko. Tapos ikaw, magkiklik ka naman ng link, magsa-sign up ka, minsan mag-enter ka pa ng payment information, so may damage yun sa business natin, no? So, nakakatakot lalo na pag SMS based yung phishing, kasi minsan official na name ng bangko yung nagagamit ng mga attackers para mag-send out ng phishing links. Although, it's a flaw kasi ng SMS system. Kasi yung mga criminal usually sa likod ng Innova, meron silang sarili nilang colorum na cell site that allows them to send out emails is as if official siya. So they can control yung sender ID. So, of course, our government naman is trying their best to triangulate yun. Though mahirap din kasi triangulate. You need to have an IMSIC app, catcher tapos ita-triangulate mo. Although kahit ma-triangulate mo siya, ang hirap din kasi na isa-search mo yung kotse ng walang warrant, yung mga ganun. So, kailangan yung principle of plain view. So, medyo complicated yung reason kung bakit ang hirap hulihin ng mga colorum na cell sites na ginagamit ng mga scammers. Yan. Um, Actually, isa pa sa mga nagpapahirap ngayon sa phishing is yung GPT. Si ChatGPT can now be used by attackers minsan to generate yung mga fake na message or minsan hindi mo na kailangan mag-Photoshop. Pa-GPT mo na lang. Kuha ka ng official na ano, may na-encounter kami. Poster siya, it's an infographic, no? Pero pinalitan nila yung link tsaka QR code. So, it's an official looking infographic, but if you scan the QR code or if you click the link, instead of going to the official website, mariredirect ka muna dun sa scam or phishing website. Kaya minsan kailangan tinitignan talaga natin yung URLs na mga, yung link ba? Pagka-click mo ng link, pag landing mo, tignan mo yung URL kung tama ba siya and official looking ba siya. Kasi yung mga kriminal, gumagamit sila ng Bitly. Have you guys tried Bitly? Yung mga URL shortener, di ba? Kunyari, something.bitly. So yung mga ganun na URL shortener, nagagamit para magtago ng malicious na website. So iniisip mo lang, uy, baka gumamit lang sila ng Bitly. Pagka-click mo ng Bitly, yun pala, fake na website siya. Kaya maging maingat tayo sa mga ganun na information. Isa pa, business email compromise and payment fraud. So, yun nga, parang phishing lang siya pero most likely dito is na-compromise sila or na yung passwords nyo ba umuulit. So, yun pa yung isa so kung bakit nagkakaroon ng breach yung mga email accounts ng mga tao. Kasi pa ulit-ulit ka ng password eh. So, what if may isa kang pinag-registeran na application, sila yung nahack? Kung nahack sila, malamang sa malamang na nakuha yung password mo doon sa website na yon. E di ngayon, tatry nilang gamitin yon sa ibang website. So, kunyari, yung pinaka-isa sa mga sikat is na hack si Zuckerberg, yung Facebook ni Zuckerberg na hack kasi na-hack yung LinkedIn niya. Kasi yung LinkedIn na hack. So, therefore, nakuha ng attackers yung password niya. Ginamit nila sa Facebook, gumana. So, may mga ganun credential reuse na mga vulnerabilities or weaknesses na ginagawa ng mga tao, yan, nagkakaroon ng compromise, no? Isa pa, so for example, ito, nangyayari sa company namin to. May nagpapanggap na ako. Uy, ako si, iko-contact yung finance team namin. Tapos, may sasabihin mo, "Oy, kailangan mong bayaran 'to." Maliit lang naman. Minsan ang kulit nila, minsan they will even try to, "Uy, pa-send naman ng 500 dito na GCash. May kailangan lang bayaran, supplier or something." Tapos minsan, although of course yung staff naman namin trained na hindi magpapaloko sa ganun, 'di ba? Pero yung staff nyo ba trained ba sila? 'Di ba uso yung naalala yung budol dati, 'di ba? Lalo na kung medyo nag-live through the 90s kayo, yung budol-budol gang, 'di ba? They will try to instill yung sense of yung urgency ba? Uy, nagmamadali ako, kailangan o nalobat ako, nakigamit lang ako ng cellphone. Ganun pa rin, nag-iba lang yung medium of payment, naging QR code lang. So, ganun na ganun pa rin, may mga ganun pa ring modus yung mga manloloko. Kaya dapat tinitrain natin yung mga staff natin. So, yung mga staff natin, oy, pag ako mag-uutos, usually galing lang sa number na to, or pag ako may inutos na maglalabas ng pera, kailangan i-confirm mo kay ganito. So, dito pumapasok yung at least magkaroon man lang tayo ng two-step na proseso pagdating sa paglabas ng pera. Kaya maganda rin minsan madalas ginagawa ng bangko, kino-confirm din minsan eh. Pero hindi diligent lalo na pag small amounts. Kaya yung mga manloloko ngayon, they usually just go for small amounts kasi usually those are the ones that fly under the radar. Yan. So ransomware, account takeover, and data theft, no? Gaya naman nasabi ko kanina, ito yung mga magkakamag-anak, no? Na usual na attacks sa mga businesses. So attacks do not just trick employees, sometimes they even stop the business itself. Pag yung ransomware, na-lock niyan yung files mo, nag-demand sila ng payment, paano kung for example, filing season sa BIR, nawala yung files mo? Ang hirap nun, 'di ba? Hindi ka makapag-file, pag hindi ka nakapag-file, mape-penalty ka pa, tapos malolowa ka pa minsan. So, minsan ang laking problema nito. Nagkaroon pa kami ng incident before. Shipping company lang naman sila. Nag-import maliit na maliit na shipping company. Pero ang problema, na ransomware yung documents nila. So hindi nila ma-file ng maayos yung kailangan nilang i-file sa customs para mag-import. So may mga ganun na kahit sabihin mong ransomware lang yan, pero meron siyang damage. Pati yung mga na-lockout na Facebook, na-lockout na kung ano mang account nyo, kunyari sa account, cases ng account takeover, nagkaroon kami ng case before na yung YouTube account nila na-suspend. And since yung YouTube account is tied to a Gmail, so 'di ba ano yun, Google account yun eh. So na-suspend din pati yung sa email nila kasi ang nangyari yung attackers, nagsimula yung breach is may din-download na plugin sa Chrome. Ang ginawa nila parang ano yata yun eh, YouTube downloader tsaka may isa pa eh. Yung dalawa yung suspect eh. Either YouTube downloader siya or yung may plugin silang ginagamit para magsasuggest ng hashtag dun sa video. Yun yung dalawa naming sinususpect na entry point. Ang nangyari, nanakaw nun yung cookies. If familiar kayo kung paano nag-work yung mga cookies sa browser, di ba pag nag-clear cache, clear cookies ka, nalalogout ka sa lahat ng website. So, ganun yung nangyari, nanakaw ng attackers yung cookies. So ngayon, it's as if logged in yung attackers, nagamit nila yung Gmail pati nila to send out emails na spam, phishing, suspend yung account nila, nawala na sila ng YouTube channel, nawalan pa sila ng access sa email nila. So, delikado rin yun. No? So, of course, with that, pati data theft, kasama na doon. So, for example, mga photos, may na-encounter pa kami. Since yung isang negosyante, yung account niya sa Google is same sa account niya sa personal, um, yung private photos niya, ginamit to extort pa siya. So, medyo mahabang route pero still it's still damaging for the business. Kasi lalo na for small and medium enterprises, lalo na sa mga naka-proprietorship diyan, yung damage to the businessman is also damage to the business. Yan. Next, teka, yun. So, how cybercrime incidents turn into real business loss? So number one, if attacks succeed, your operations are disrupted. And pagka nagkaroon ng disruption sa operations nyo, money is lost, di ba? Pwedeng funds are transferred, sales are stopped, recovery costs rise, and trust falls. Lalo na kung, kunyari, may pinagkatiwala sa sensitive na information, tapos na-leak pa siya, bumababa yung tiwala, yung kumpiyansa sa'yo, nang hindi lang ng mga customer mo, minsan business partners mo pa. So, kunyari, may isang conglomerate na nahack sila, na-release sa internet yung magkano yung binabayad na rent ng lahat ng tenant nila. So isang conglomerate na nag-ooperate ng malls, nahack sila, yung yung contracts ng mga individual tenants nila na leak. It actually led to damages kasi, uy, bakit mahal yung upa ko? Yung sa kanila mura lang. So, nagkaroon ng parang forced negotiations pa, no? So, yan yung mga possible na damages sa atin as businessmen pagka na-neglect natin or nagkaroon ng successful attack sa negosyo natin. Hindi lang sa negosyo natin, pati sa sarili natin. So, how big companies avoid millions in losses? Number one, stronger access controls, no? Nililiitan natin or nililimit natin yung access ng iba't ibang tao. So, nagko-compartmentalization tayo. So, for example, instead na may isang admin account lang kayo sa Google na yun yung kayang kontrolin ng lahat, dapat hindi. Or same sa Facebook, hiwala yung content manager dun kaysa dun sa admin ng page. Para kahit ma-compromise yung account ng content manager, hindi damay yung page natin sa Facebook. Number two, reliable backups. Kung meron kayong magandang backup or at least nagba-backup kayo ng files nyo, kunyari, kung knock on wood, ma-ransomware man tayo, madali tayong makapag-recover, no? para kung hindi kayo basta-basta may isang kopya lang kayo. So I usually tell people yung 3-2-1 rule. Yung 3-2-1 rule is um yung meron kang tatlong, pag yung isang data mahalaga sa iyo, dapat meron kang tatlong kopya nun. Yung isang kopya is yung kopya, yung parang yun yung live na copy mo. Then meron kang dalawang backup sa dalawang magkaibang media types. Tapos ideally may isa doon off-site yung storage. Nagkaroon kami ng unfortunate event kunyari nung naalala niyo yung Ondoy. Medyo matagal na yung Ondoy pero naalala ko pa rin siya. Binaha sila. Ang problema, yung backup nila nandun din sa same place kung saan binaha. So kahit yung backup mo is external hard drive na nakahiwalay dun sa computer, kung pareha silang binaha, wala rin. Kaya maganda rin na may off-site na backup ka. So pwede naman nun, maging masinop ka lang sa backup mo. Or kung SME ka, baka pwede mag-Google Drive ka, Dropbox. Maganda. Ito yung mga maganda kagandahan ng cloud computing. Basta may internet ka, madaling mag-backup. Yun nga lang, kailangan mo lang ding make sure na napoprotektahan mo siya. Kaya and dapat iba yung credentials and password, no? And lastly, people awareness. Employees are trained to spot fraud before money leaves the business. So dito ko yung sinabi ko kanina na baka pwede magkaroon kayo ng establish kayo ng process when it comes to ano yung flow kunyari nung labas nung kunyari ng gamit, labas ng pera. Pag may nag-utos sa kanila, may nagsabi na may sense of urgency, parang budol-budol, matuto silang mag-confirm. Kasi pag hindi nila kinonfirm, di sila sumunod sa proseso, minsan mas madali tayong maloko. Kaya dapat inuunahan nyo na yung, pag ganito yung nangyari, dapat, ganito kayo. Pag ganito yung nangyari, dapat ganito kayo. So, for example, yung mga staff ng mga companies, tinitrain talaga sila for security awareness. Tinitrain sila para maging mas spot na okay, yung confirmation kailangan manggagaling lang sa ganitong department o sa ganitong tao. So, mas madali siyang gawin sa mas maliliit na negosyo. Kasi ilan lang naman kayong mag-uusap and ilan lang naman yung involved sa proseso as compared sa mas malalaking kumpanya na marami pang sign-off, di ba? Yan. So, ito yung mga without being too technical, ito na lang mga quick tips na lang to. Of course, use strong unique passwords for every important account. Dito papasok yung mga gumamit kayo for example ng mga password managers. Ako I recommend, idodrop ko sa chat. Ito ginagamit ko, pero offline lang to. KeePass. Yan. So, yung KeePass, hindi siya online. Kasi wala akong tiwala sa sa mga online tools. Drop ko dito yung link. Ito. Yan. For example, ito, password manager siya, pero offline na computer lang yan. And yung para madaling mag-manage ng passwords, no? And gumamit kayo ng unique and strong na passwords. Huwag kayong gumamit ng something na made-derive from information about sa inyo. So for example, kunyari, pangalan ng anak ko is ganito, birthday niya is ganito, favorite number ko is ganito. Pagka ganun kasi, pwede siyang maging seed information for password generators. And may mga ganung hacking tools na bibigyan mo siya ng information, tapos generate siya ng list ng candidate passwords na pwedeng gamitin nila panghula, no? Ang common na mistake kasi ng mga tao, pustahan tayo. Yung password nyo, yung first capital letter is yung first letter is yung capital letter is yung first letter ng password nyo. Tapos yung special character ng password nyo nasa dulo. Yung kunyari, period man yan, hashtag, exclamation point, nasa dulo siya ng password nyo. Then of course, may numbers kayo right before it. Pero it's not actually your fault. Um, uy, may mga tumawa. Ganun yung style ng password. Bakit? Actually, hindi nyo kasalanan yun, ha. Medyo na-condition kasi yung mga utak natin, mga tao. Lalo na Latin-based yung alphabet natin. Para ka nagsulat ng sentence. So, pagka hiningan ka ng capital letter, malamang ilalagay mo sa simula kasi yun yung training sa atin, di ba? Tapos hiningan ka ng special character, lalagay mo sa dulo kasi yun yung pagkakaturo sa atin eh. So, yun yung mga patterns na ginagamit ng mga attackers natin para try nilang hulaan yung mga passwords. Kaya pakiiwasan yun. And kung pwede rin, turuan din natin yung mga kasama natin sa bahay na wag masyadong ma-post sa social media. Lalo na kung ginamit nyo man, if ever man na ginamit nyo na number, yung mga number sa password nyo is mga significant dates, kunyari anniversary, um, mga birthday. Kasi minsan na nangyayari, sige train ka nga, pero yung anak mo hindi, nag-live pa. Happy 25th anniversary, mom and dad. So ngayon, yung mga attackers, kinikip note nila yun, tinikip track nila yun. Okay, so anniversary nila, 25 years ago. So therefore, ito yung date ng anniversary nila. Nadederive yun. And hackers can play the long game. Ginagather lang nila lahat ng information about a person and until such time na madali siyang i-correlate or usable na siya, minsan ginagamit as trigger point yun. Wala sa slides pero actually isa pang juicy na information sa mga attackers. Sino sa inyo naka-postpaid? May mga naka-postpaid ba sa inyo? Karamihan ng postpaid na tao sa Philippines, yung fifth digit ng phone number nila is 0, 9, and 8. So kunyari 09178 o 09179 or 0 siya. Kasi yun yung ginawang parang marker and reserved yun yung reserve range kasi ng phone numbers before for postpaid ng mga nakaplan. So kung ikaw yung criminal, mas juicy sa yun kasi most likely number one, may pera pa pang postpaid. Number two, um, mas kinikip kasi yun ng mga attackers eh. Mas mahal din siya sa black market. It's around 5 pesos per phone number na yata ngayon. Pag postpaid kasi hindi sila mas madalas hindi sila nagpapalit ng phone number. So kaya maging maingat kayo sa mga ganung information, no? And of course, turn on two-factor authentication whenever possible. Karamihan ng mga platforms ngayon like Google, kahit nga gulit ako si Yahoo, meron na rin two-factor authentication eh. Sila Dropbox, lahat yan meron na silang two-factor authentication. So, personally, I use yung Google Authenticator kasi nasa phone ko siya. Madali siyang makuha. And hindi siya naghihintay ng OTP. Hindi ako fan ng SMS OTP. Reason being kasi hindi ko matanggap yung OTP pag walang signal. So mas maganda yung mga offline generator na tokens, no? Paki-turn on siya. Hindi naman siya ganun kahirap. At least may extra layer ka na kahit manakaw yung password mo, meron ka pang isang layer of defense. And of course, verify payment changes through a second channel. Kaya isa sa mga madalas na proseso na makikita mo sa mga mature na kumpanya is pagka inutusan kita or ang isang empleyado nagsususpecha na siya na phishing yun or may nag impersonate sa boss niya, tatry niyang tawagan through a different channel or different mode of communication. So, kung yung nang-i-scam sa akin, yung nagpapanggap is gamit yung email, huwag ka na mag-reply sa email o huwag mo i-verify sa email kasi most likely yung email ng boss mo compromise na in the first place. Try mo i-verify sa Viber naman or verify mo sa Messenger. Sir, may nag-message sa akin, magpa-fund transfer daw tayo dito. Ikaw ba to? Yan, wag sa email kasi malamang sa malamang na-compromise na siya nung mga attackers natin. So, yun yung isa sa mga usual na makikita mong mga proseso. Ang weird naman nito, ba't kailangan i-verify via phone call? So, yan. Of course, backup important files regularly. Gaano ka-regular? Depende, no? Personally, kung kaya namang mag-backup sa cloud, then as it happens, as you generate the information, then backup mo kagad siya. And lastly, train employees to pause and verify suspicious requests. So, ito lang, last week lang may kakilala ko na may hardware kasi siya. So, ang nangyari, may nagpa-deliver ng semento tsaka copper wire. Pagdating dun sa meet-up point, sabi, punta ka dun sa tinatayong bahay na yun, deliver mo yung semento, tas kinuha na yung wire. Kasi mahal din yung copper ngayon eh. Tapos, yun pala, nung pagdating nung mga pahinante dun sa pag dineliver na yung semento, di naman kami order pero kinuha na yung wire. So, yun, technically, nanakawan sila ng wire. So, yung mga ganun na weird request, yung mga variations, kaya minsan kailangan mo maging preemptive na, pag ganito yung nangyari, dapat ganito gagawin nyo. Pag wala dito, tawagan nyo ako. Or i-confirm nyo kung sino man yung may, kunyari, mas malaki na kayo, may manager kayo, ganyan. Pag may mga weird na request na wala dun sa proseso nyo, turuan nyo yung mga employees natin na mas maging, wag magmamadali mag-isip or pause ka muna kung di mo kayang di mo alam yung gagawin, tanong ka sa boss mo. Yan. So, S7 essential safeguards, secure password, two-factor login, payment verification, device updates. So maging masinap din tayo sa pag-updates ng laptops, phones, routers, even business apps. Although kagandahan naman yan nag-auto-update na siya. Kasi usually, yung mga vulnerabilities nangyayari yan pag hindi ka nag-update, no? And na-mention ko kanina, mag-keep kayo ng backup and mag-limit kayo ng access. So lalo na kung isang platform tulad nga nung example ko kanina yung Facebook, pwede ka mag-assign ng iba't ibang klase ng accounts. So, nyari, yung may hinar kang social media manager para mag-manage temporarily, bigyan mo na siya content management na access, hindi yung full admin dun sa page nyo. So, yan yung mga bagay-bagay na kailangan medyo maging mas masinop tayo. And of course, last, staff awareness. First line of defense natin sa cybersecurity and information security is mga tao pa rin. Okay? So, yan, identify, protect, train, and respond. So, kaya yan yung parang step by step nyo. Daanan nyo. So, immediate actions nyo, paano kung nagkaroon ng incident? At hindi naman maiwasan na hindi kayo magkakaroon ng incident eh. Kung feeling nyo na-hack kayo or nagkaroon kayo ng problema, kung virus man siya or ransomware, disconnect the affected devices from the internet and magpalit ka agad kayo ng passwords. Tapos, usually pag nagpalit ka ng password, may option doon to sign out all devices. Pakigawa po yun. Kasi minsan, nagpalit ka nga ng password, hindi mo naman finor sign out lahat ng devices. So nangyari, nakalogin pa rin yung attacker natin. Kung may apektado na payment provider, sabihan nyo kagad sila. Usually naman may hotline naman for fraud yung mga financial institutions natin. And inform key decision makers immediately. Lalo na kunyari may business partners kayo or may mga customer din kayo na maaaring apektado ng tingin nyo no isang incident, no? And of course, next actions is you try to, of course, check backups and preserve evidence. Lalo na kung may balak kayo na mag-report sa police or may, kasi minsan pagka, pagka nagkaroon kasi ng incident, lalo na sa payment or sa ganyan, minsan manghihingi ng proof yung, kunyari, yung mga financial institutions ng police report and all. Kaya minsan kailangan nyo talagang mag-preserve ng evidence and kailangan nyo magpakita ng proof, no? So, warn employees to not click similar messages. So, pag nagkaroon ng incident, sabihin nyo, oy guys, may nag-impersonate kay boss natin. Paki-make sure lang na yung gantong klase ng mga messages, wag nyong i-click or i-ignore nyo or i-mark as spam nyo na kagad. And na-mention ko na kanina, inform customers and or partners if needed and document what happened in proof controls after recovery. So, kailangan natututo tayo. So, kung may nangyaring incident, ay oo nga no, nakalusot yung hacker dahil sa ganito. O may nakalusot na magnanakaw dahil sa ganito. So, ini-improve nyo yung playbook nyo. And of course, pag may bago kayong staff, tinuturo nyo na rin yung mga ganun. So, medyo mas tumatagal lang yung onboarding. Kaya nga usually sa mga organizations, sa mga businesses, may mga security awareness program sila para hindi mangyari yon. So, fast action matters. A delayed response can turn a small issue into a major financial event. So, final takeaway, cybersecurity protects your profit, trust, and continuity ng operations ng mga negosyo natin. So, hindi porket hindi kayo malaking kumpanya, hindi nyo na isasantabi nyo na no, yung cybersecurity. Kasi cybersecurity, pagka ginawa nyo siya, mga simpleng steps lang na sinabi ko kanina, it protects your cash, it protects your operations, and it protects trust. Both for your customers, trust ng partners nyo, sa negosyo nyo. Na yan. So, now I'm opening the floor for question and answer. May mga tanong ba tayo from our audience?
Ayan, so question and answer segment na po pala tayo. Thank you, Sir Jonathan, for such a meaty webinar presentation. So to
Mhm.
our participants, please feel free to ask questions or if may clarifications kayo, please just chat them sa chat box para mapag-usapan natin siya. Thank you!
Ayan. Okay, may nagtanong. Sir, sa sitwasyon po na kunwari ako po ay may business and yung hacker po is nakuha yung sensitive data po ng aking customers since nangihingi po ng ransom yung hacker and nasunod naman po yung terms nila. Paano naman po kung hindi nila nasunod yung terms? Ano pa kaya magandang gawin sa ganong sitwasyon? Um, for example, kung this is one of those international hackers na nagbayad ka ng ransom, typically they would provide proof of deletion sa end nila. Hindi ko ina-advertise na magbayad kayo, no. It just so happens that I've handled cases before that the company paid ransom. They usually do delete naman and they usually provide recovery keys. May na-encounter pa nga akong customer na nagbayad kami ng ransom. Pinadaan sa amin yung bayad ng ransom eh. Nagbayad ng ransom, tapos kinabukasan, actually hindi nga kinabukasan, mga 2 days naman, nahack ulit sila kasi yung entry point ng hackers, hindi nila na-patch. So, nung nahack sila, nag-recovery sila, since hindi nila pinatch yung systems nila, kaya mahalaga mag-update, nahack ulit sila. Kinausap namin yung hacking group, uy, ba't nyo na naman kami in-infect? Kasi usually yung pang-hack nila is automated. They actually don't have manual intervention to it. Sabi nila, sige, recover na lang ulit natin. Tapos nagbigay pa sila ng guide kung paano i-patch yung systems namin. Nung customer, no? So, paano kung hindi nila sinunod? Um, hindi ko alam kung gaano kasabi kayo, pero usually pag hindi nasunod, may mga message boards kasi. Usually yung mga ransomware groups, may message boards yan, papupuntahin ka nila doon or pwede ka magreklamo. Kasi pag hindi sila sinunod yung terms, masama din sa kanila yun eh. Kasi kung yung reputation nila, hindi sila sumusunod sa terms, therefore wala na magbabayad ng ransom. At least in my career, bihirang-bihira pag international hackers ang hindi nagre-recover and nagde-delete ng data sa side nila. Meron lang kami mga instances dito sa Philippines na Filipino din yung hacker yon. Typically, may times may have handled cases na may times talaga na hindi nila dinilit sa side nila, no. So ganung sitwasyon, ang ginawa namin was tinry namin silang i-entrap through their payment method. Hopefully, ang ginawa nilang payment method is GCash or bank transfer kasi yon traceable yon. Ang mahirap matrace is actually crypto. May aminin ko mahirap kasi nahack ka na in the first place and may kopya na sila ng data mo. Um, Yun lang. The best you can do is mag-report na lang talaga sa police. Ayan. Any other question? Ayan. Thank you for that question, by the way. Um, okay. Wala nang question ah.
Ayan. So, antayin po natin baka nagta-type pa sila
Iisip pa.
ng,
Sige.
oo, yeah, baka nag-iisip pa po sila ng question.
Sige lang.
Yan.
Ayan. Hello,
Ayan,
sir.
ayan na nga po.
Yan. Okay, dumating na. Okay, nice. Sir, let's say po may two-factor authenticator na. How often do you need mag-change password pa rin po? As per standard recommendation, lalo na with NAST, the minimum is once a year. The moment that you have 2FA, multi-factor authentication, once a year is actually good enough. So hindi na kailangan, pag wala kasing multi-factor, it's actually the recommendation. Pag sensitive account is quarterly. Pag non-sensitive is biannual. Pero if you have MFA, actually every 1 year is enough. Since, sir, sabi nyo sa mga startup business, yung target ng hacker, paano po kaya pe-prevent yung breach ng data ng business as a startup business? Okay. So, yun, binagbigay ako ng tips dito sa slides. You guys hopefully na-pick up nyo and ipoprovide naman siguro sa inyo yung slides. Pero depende rin sa startup, no? Lalo na kung tech startup ka. Kung tech startup ka, minsan may mga extra steps ka pa kailangan i-secure, no? Kasi if you're a tech startup, you also have to protect your source code. You have to protect yung hosting mo. So, minsan, since you're a tech startup na, medyo doon na magpe-play into account yung mga tech-related na solutions na. So, medyo technical na siya. Kunyari, mga workflow mo sa Git, sa handling ng source code, yung handling mo ng DevOps mo, yung handling mo ng code deployment mo, infrastructure deployment mo. Then kung tech startup ka, then papasok na rin yung pag-updates mo ng infrastructure mo. So, yun, depende kung ano din klase ng business. Pero at least hopefully, yung binigay kong tips dito sa ano natin, sa session natin ngayong gabi, it's enough to get you started, no? All right. Ayun, mapapanood nyo rin pala yung replay nito, no? Sir, what are the essential low-cost or free cybersecurity tools and practices that can play right to protect their business, to protect their business data? Kung meron man, no, gusto kong ano, number one, on mo kagad yung MFA ng lahat ng accounts mo. Number two, while doing that, may inventory ka ba? May inventaryo ka ba ng lahat ng critical sa business mo na nasa computer or digital? Online banking, Facebook, Instagram. Kasi ano yun eh, you cannot protect something, hindi mo kayang i-protect ang isang bagay nang hindi mo alam na kailangan mo pala siya. So, ngayon siguro mag-allot ka ng session as a businessman, isipin mo as a negosyante, ano ba yung mahalaga sa akin na may digital footprint? Yan, Facebook, online banking records. Ngayon, once na-lista mo yan, gawa ka ng inventaryo. Once na may inventaryo ka, try mo na siya i-secure. Number one, yung mga accounts, pag-accounts, nakuha na ba yung multi-factor authentication? Number two, pagka business-related account siya, kunyari like a Facebook page na pwedeng marami yung nagmamanage, ikaw ba yung super admin o maraming super admin? Delikado yun pag maraming super admin. So, next, yung mga mahalaga mo naman na information ng mga data, mga files mo, meron ka bang master list ng mga kliyente mo? Ang tanong, may backup ka ba? So pagka information mahalaga sa'yo, may backup naman. So ganun, di ba? Pag account, may multi-factor authentication ka ba? Pag information, may backup ka ba? So hopefully, that's a good starting point kasi yun yung madaling gawin na hindi kailangan mag-shell out ka ng pera kasi usually yung mga controls na yun, yung mga mechanisms na yun, madali namang i-implement. Yan.
Ayun. Sige po. While we're waiting for more questions to come in, I myself have a question of my own.
Go
Sir, ano
ahead.
pong thoughts nyo sa apps like, say, for example, Google Authenticator or even Microsoft Authenticator?
Mm,
Do you think they're advisable to use even when it comes to, say, for example, um, yung sa business mo po or
mm,
yung company mo is connected to that? Is it advisable to use? Is it
mm.
really as safe as they claim?
Yes, okay. So Google Authenticator and Microsoft Authenticator and any other authenticator apps, the way it works is bakit siya nag-work offline? Kaya siya secure kasi it actually works offline. Hindi niya kailangan na
Mm.
connected ka sa internet na mahahack. Or for example, yung mga, kaya nga, yung bagong ruling ng BSP, yung AFASA, tinatry na nilang pagbawalan yung SMS OTP. Kasi yung SMS OTP, like I mentioned earlier, may
Mm.
mga colorum na cell sites na laloko yung mga tao doon.
Mm.
Paano ba nag-work yung mga authenticator and bakit siya safe? Kasi the way it works is, sa isang server, kunyari ganito yung theory niya eh, kaya yung code mag-work siya kahit wala kang internet is ganito. What if magsimula tayo magbilang ng, kaya mag-start tayo sa number 5. Tapos every 1 minute, magpa-plus 5 ka. So meron kang base value, then you have a permutation, may permutation ka. So on a fixed interval, nagpa-permutate siya and it's something that's offline. So kahit wala kang internet, kahit wala kang network connectivity, yung OTP mo, meron ka kasi sabay kayong magbilang nung server. So,
Mm.
kunyari, nag-start tayo sa 5 every 1 minute plus 5. So, 5, 10, 15, 20. So, ganun nag-work yung mga offline authenticator apps. Yung code mo hindi may intercept, yung code mo hindi mananakaw or walang pwedeng mag-impersonate. Ang nagiging risk lang doon is kung nanakaw yung phone mo. So,
Mm.
yun yung risk doon. So, kung magnanakaw kayo, nakawin niyo yung phone. De, joke lang. Huwag niyo following advice, no? Follow me for more financial
Sa
tips.
ating 24 participants, sa
Ayun.
speaker po
Ah,
natin narinig.
na joke lang, no? Kaya mahalaga naman ngayon yung phone ng mga tao. Kasi, um, pag nanakaw
Andun
yung
na po
phone
lahat
mo,
eh.
ang dami, nandito na lahat. Nandito na yung
Yes.
email mo, nandito pa mapupunta yung OTP, nandito
Mm.
rin yung authenticator mo. Kaya, Kaya ginagawang best practice, kaya nagka-company issued phone yung mga kumpanya para hiwalay yung personal ng tao, hiwalay yung pantrabaho nila. So for
Mm-mm.
example,
Yes,
sa
yes.
amin, sa RT Cyber, may specific phone kami just for codes para hindi siya
Wow.
nakamix sa ano namin. Pero generally safe siya. So ngayon, meron na lang kaming proseso. Pag nawala yung phone or nanakaw yung phone, i-notify mo kagad yung security team natin para i-deprovision naman yung code na yon. Ikaw
Mm-mm.
naman na sa user, kunyari ginamit mo yung Google Authenticator, pwede ka magpunta sa Google admin mo, pwede ka mag-reprovision. Kailangan mo lang i-keep yung recovery key. Kasi usually pag nag-set up ka ng Google Authenticator, may recovery key yon. Itago nyo yon. Kasi mahalaga yon para pagka i-off mo yung OTP mo, at tas nga nanakaw yung phone mo, kailanganin mo kasi siya. So,
Mm-mm.
yun yung mga tips ko para dyan, no?
All right. Yan. Thank you po, sir. We have new questions.
Ayun. So, kung may efforts to train the trainer, scam the scammer, meron bang hack the hacker na nakakapagod na always on the defense? Pwede naman mag-offense, entrapment by design, no? In theory, ano siya eh. In theory kasi, by the exercise of that, and that's been asked, hindi siya wild na question na, usually this should be done by the law enforcement agencies. And to be fair naman kay Interpol, ginagawa nila yan. Sila Interpol nag-implement sila ng DNS sinkhole. So for example, yung mga hackers natin, may mga binili silang domain. Ang ginagawa, sinisize yun, kino-confiscate or sinisinkhole na yung tawag nila. Meaning, pag may nag-click ng phishing link, instead na mapunta sa phishing, napupunta siya sa website ng Interpol, o yung kinlik mong link is a phishing link. Usually, law enforcement po ang gumagawa nun. Tayong mga civilian, hindi natin pwedeng gawin yung hack the hacker kasi it's like saying na you'll commit a crime then in the exercise of it. So it's a gray area pero kaya usually we tell our clients hackers need to get it right once. We need to get it right all the time. Nakakapagod po talaga to be on the defense. Aaminin ko. I've been doing this for more than 15 years. Wala na akong buhok na ano pa lang 23 pa lang ako noon, no. Pero ginagawa naman po 'yan ng mga law enforcement natin in coordination usually with Interpol. Kaya mahalaga rin na nagre-report tayo sa mga police and law enforcement kasi usually tatanungin nila ano yung domain and minsan may coordination sila through CICC tapos through Interpol. Kinokollate nila yan kasi they'll try to seize the domains and mga servers na ginagamit ng mga hackers natin. Yan.
Yes. Ayan. Sir, so
Hmm.
may question po tayo from Sir Tyrone Painor.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
For SMEs with limited IT resources, which software updates are most critical to prioritize? And are
Hmm.
there free tools to scan for vulnerabilities in our systems?
Ayan, okay. So, with limited IT resources, no, software updates, ang pinakamalagang ma-update natin na software is number one, yung browser natin. Number two is yung operating systems natin. Yun kasi yung usual na entry points ng mga attackers natin. Ang kagandahan ngayon ng mga modern browsers, lalo na kunyari sila Edge, sila Chrome, sila Safari, and Firefox, these are what you consider the evergreen browsers. Kaya pansin nyo, kahit hindi naman kayo nag-update, nagkakaroon ng parang button dun sa taas, sasabihin ni Chrome, uy, i-restart mo ako kasi mag-install ako ng updates. Kasi they actually nag-install sila ng updates on their own. So, sumunod niyan is yung operating system nyo. Yung operating system nyo ba in-update nyo? Kailan kayo last nag-Windows update? Usually po, ang cadence is Windows Patch Tuesdays. Every second Tuesday ng bagong buwan, so every second Tuesday, although actually sa Philippines Wednesday na nun eh. It's actually in California time. But this is what we call Windows Patch Tuesday. Usually, second Tuesday ng isang buwan may Windows update palagi. And doon na pupunta yung mga security updates para yung mga operating system ng computers natin lagi siyang secure. Isa pa is mga phones. Medyo ito yung problema sa mga hindi sikat na brand lalo na sa Android, no? Sa Android kasi may concept ng security support. May mga certain brands of Android phones na ina-update lang nila yung phones nila for 1 year. So ngayon kung may bagong vulnerability yung Android, after 3 years hindi na nila pinapatch. Kaya for example, mga sikat na brands such as kaya sila Motorola, sila Pixel, sila Samsung, ang support nila is actually 5 to 8 years even. So, tinatapatan kasi nila si Apple na minsan si Apple, they support their devices from a security standpoint up to 10 years. So basta lagi nyo lang i-update yung operating system nyo and browser nyo. Yun yung dalawang pinakamahalaga. Now, are there free tools to scan for vulnerabilities in our system? There are actually free tools to scan your system for vulnerabilities. Ang problema, pag may yung free tool na yun, mahirap lang gamitin. I'll drop the link here, Greenbone.
Yes, please po.
Idodrop ko yung ano nyo idodrop ko dito yung link. Teka. So, teka lang. Ang pangalan is OpenVAS. So this is an open vulnerability scanner by Greenbone, and this is partly funded din ng Germany. So finanto ng government ng Germany. Meron yung tinatawag na OpenVAS Community Edition. So it's an open source edition ng Greenbone security scanner. So using this tool, pwede mo siyang i-run. Maghahanap siya ng vulnerability sa IT systems mo, sa mga servers mo, sa mga computers, sa mga laptops mo. Free tool siya. Aaminin ko, medyo mahirap lang siyang gamitin ng kaunti kasi may mga parameters siyang kukunin, kaya IP address, subnet. So kailangan alam mo yung IP addresses and subnets sa loob ng network mo. So, bigyan nyo na lang siguro sa IT team nyo, or kung medyo tech savvy ka na negosyante, then pwede mong gamitin sa sarili mo. Ayan.
Yun. Thank you po for such a meaty answer. So may use po pala talaga yung mga Windows updates. Akala ko po kasi it's just to take up space sa
Mm,
laptop.
mm,
Kasi grabe po yung gigabytes niya. Pero ang laking tulong niya din po pala.
yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we have another question po from Sir Tyrone again. What are
Mhm.
the most common threats currently targeting Filipino SMEs, and how can we identify early signs of an attack?
Ayan. So, actually,
Very
Filipino
niche po.
SMEs, ang pinaka-common sa mga hinahandle namin is actually phishing. Kasi ang mga staff natin have the tendency not to be trained in cybersecurity. Wala tayong mga awareness programs, no? Um, so, kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng mga problema. Yun yung number one na attack na nakikita namin, phishing talaga. So, ano yung number one defense doon? Then definitely, awareness training. Kunyari,
Training,
turuan natin yung
yes.
mga employee natin na mag-click ng mag-hover ng pointer dun sa link para ma-check nila kung tama ba yung malalandingan nila, i-check nila yung
Mhm.
address bar, at saka yung proseso ng negosyo natin. So pagka may request or may nagpapanggap, pag wala siya dun sa proseso ng negosyo natin, that dapat stop sila, take a pause, then mag-verify sila nung proseso ng business natin.
Mm.
My question is, enterprise grade si OpenVAS? In theory, it's enterprise grade, but for most companies operating in a regulated environment, what's recommended are paid tools. For paid tools, of course, gagamit ka na ng Tenable, Rapid7, or Qualys, or si Greenbone, which is yun yung paid version ni OpenVAS. Pero for most, kung ako yung tatanungin mo, comparable siya kay Nessus. Because OpenVAS was actually forked, medyo technical yung term, no? Nung open source pa kasi si Nessus, which is an enterprise grade software, yung ibang developers gusto nila maging paid tool na sila. Yung mga iba, dapat libre to for the community. So yun yung naging OpenVAS. It has been funded by the government of Germany. Pero kung you're operating on a regulated environment, hindi ko marerecommend si OpenVAS, lalo na kung nasa financial services ka. Kasi si OpenVAS delayed yung signatures niya, yung vulnerability database niya, yung nade-detect niyang vulnerabilities. In some cases, madedelay siya ng 1 month. Kasi again, yung nagme-maintain niya are volunteers lang din kasi.
Mm.
Yan. Okay? Sir, gaano ka-reliable ang private VPN sa pagprotekta ng user privacy? And ano po ang situation na hindi po sapat bilang security measure? So, VPN is what it only secures is yung information mo at as it travels your network. So for example, from point A to point B, yung network traffic mo, sinesecure siya ng VPN. Pero for example, kung yung application or yung system na ina-access mo using your VPN, yun mismo yung na-hack, hindi ka mapoprotect ng VPN. So, yun ang pinoprotect ng VPN. It protects data in motion. Pero it doesn't protect data at rest. So, kung ang hackers tinarget nila yung data at rest, hindi siya mapoprotect ng VPN. Yan. Teka lang, may bubuksan lang ako saglit.
Sure po. Yan, wait lang
Okay.
natin si Sir Jonathan.
Ayan. Any other questions ba from the audience?
Yan.
Ayan.
Let's just wait for a while po,
Mhm.
no? But meanwhile, thank you so much po for gracing us with your presence for this webinar. We really learned a lot. I also learned a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, siguro po, let's just give the people mga 3 more minutes po,
Yep.
our participants, and then we
Mhm.
can wrap up.
Yep.
So guys, sulitin na po natin yung time para if may questions, clarifications, lagay na lang po natin sa chat box. Pero yun, in the meantime po, grabe po no, kasi VPN po din talaga yung familiar sa akin when it
Mhm.
comes to protecting your data. But that really is just for, actually when I think of VPN po, I think of internet connection.
Mhm.
I think of disguising your
Mm.
address, no?
Yes.
So,
Mm.
may iba pa po pala talaga tayong tools na magagamit na for free
Mm.
din
Mm.
para para
Mm.
ma-protect din yung data and yeah.
Yan. So, yun lang. It's a privacy tool. Definitely. VPN is a privacy tool and it can be used to bypass yung mga restrictions sa IP addresses. Pero again, it only protects mostly yung data in motion, not data at rest.
Mm-mm. Okay. Thank you po.
Yan.
Yan. So, mukhang wala na po yata tayong questions. In the meantime, please feel free to check out the link po na nasa chat box. May feedback form po dyan para if you have any suggestions or if you want to hear about other topics, you can put it there po. Meanwhile, we have another question. Can VPN protect you from phishing sa Wi-Fi sa public places? Ooh.
Okay. So, VPN can protect you from not phishing but actually sniffing. So, usually kasi how hackers, 'di ba isang common tip is huwag kayong mag-connect sa mga public Wi-Fis. Bakit?
Yes.
Kasi actually hackers what they're actually doing is magpapanggap ako, kunyari, mag-open ako ng hotspot. Gawa ko ng hotspot, Starbucks Wi-Fi. So instead na mag-connect ka sa Starbucks Wi-Fi, magko-connect ka sa akin. Yung traffic mo, makikita ko.
Hmm.
So if you're using VPN, hindi ko na siya makikita. So yun yung value ng VPN. It protects against sniffing, yung data in motion. So in theory, yes, mapre-prevent niya yon. And kung yung website na ginagamit nyo is using HTTPS, technically, hindi ka na rin mafe-fish. Dati kasi may lumang attack na ang ginagawa ng hackers, minomodify niya yung webpage na lumalabas sa screen mo. Bakit? Hindi pa dati uso yung HTTPS. Ano yung HTTPS? It ensures that the connection between your browser, yung device nyo, dun sa server, nung website na binivisit nyo is encrypted. Dati kasi wala pang encryption na nangyayari. So hackers, what they're doing before, if you're kind of on a public Wi-Fi and you visit a website that's not encrypted, ang gagawin nila, imo-modify nila yung web page na pinapakita nila sa'yo. Such that,
Mm.
kunyari, nag-login ka, instead na mapunta siya directly dun sa server, minsan mapupunta yung information sa kanila. May kopya din sila ng username password mo. Or nagpe-present sila ng fake na information, imo-modify nila. May ibang hackers ang ginagawa nga lang, naglalagay lang ng ads eh. May extra ads, nag-insert sila ng extra ads. Pero ngayon, may HTTPS, may extra layer of protection na tayo. Kaya make sure nyo rin na pag nag-visit kayo ng website, may HTTPS, may padlock. Pero make sure nyo din na yung tama din yung domain. Kasi hackers, what they've been doing naman is when they create a phishing website, lalagyan din nila ng HTTPS. So isipin mo, secure yung connection mo. Secure yung connection mo, pero sa maling website. Instead na yung website ng bangko yung kinoconnectan mo, fake na website na sinet up nila. So may mga ganun nagiging arms race or nag-a-adapt lang din talaga yung mga criminal. But yes, VPN can protect you against mostly nowadays against sniffing para hindi nila makita ano yung binabrowse mo.
Ayun. Grabe po, alright. Thank you. May ganun pa palang term, sniffing. First time, first time ko po ma-encounter and I'm sure some of us here um has the same thoughts as well. But
Yeah.
yan. So, I think 8:24. we can wrap up already po. Again, thank you po everyone for your time. Thank you, Sir Jonathan.
Mhm.
If may feedback po kayo guys, everyone, to our 27, ang dami na natin, 27 participants, please feel free to answer the feedback form na nasa chat box. And if you want to hear about other topics, please just put them in as well. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah, thank you din po. Thank you also once again. Before po tayo mag-recap, we'd also like to thank once again our sponsors and our partners for the night. Thank you to Globe Business who helps really broaden yung horizons ng ating mga Filipino business owners. Thank you to RT and Co where they think, work, and live cybersecurity. Thank you to Service Technologies and to Advanced Center for Technological Studies Incorporated or ACTS. And thank you to TechNet88. You can check them out po, everyone. You can check them sa Facebook or sa LinkedIn. You can also look them up online. Yeah.
All right.
So, let's do a quick recap. Ayan, it's such a meaty, information-packed webinar, but let's try to wrap it up or think about yung mga main pointers po natin. Of course, masasabi natin na nag-a-adapt din po talaga, like you mentioned, Sir Jonathan, na gumagrabe na din yung mga galing ng mga hackers. So they really are catching up to the trends and gumagaling sila sa pagloloko sa mga tao. Kaya we really have to implement no yung mga um cautionaries and yung mga dapat na measures para mas protected tayo, not just us as individual entities but also our businesses. So we should, use strong passwords, tsaka really prioritize yung two-factor authenticators, and also even just practice limited posting, especially of important events, tsaka yung mga details or anything that can tell on you. So we also really need to spread this information to our loved ones, especially yung mga Gen X people or yung mga boomers na sinasabi nga po natin. Kasi they really are the ones who are most susceptible na maloko din sa this age of cybercrime, no? So, yun. So, yun po yung ating some of our main pointers of the evening. Thank you so much po, Sir Jonathan, for educating us about how to properly protect us, or at least what are the initial steps that we can take to protect our businesses from cybercrime in today's age. Ayun. At the same time, please check out the links na sinend po sa chat box natin as suggested by Sir Jonathan. We have OpenPass and KeePass, especially kung may mga business owners po tayo here in the chat box na participants. Okay. So next naman, last actually, but not the least, here are the following schedules for our next kailangan abangan ng mga webinars. Of course, meron din tayong i-continue na series which is cyber hygiene para sa individual, kung paano naman protektahan ang sarili natin sa cyber scams. So meron tayo sa cyber crimes, ngayon naman next naman sa April 15, 2026, 7 p.m., cyber scams naman tayo. Next, on May 20, 2026, 7 p.m., we have AI. Dadako na po tayo sa usapang artificial intelligence para sa MSMEs. Paano makakatulong ang AI sa inyong negosyo? Ooh, this is exciting. And next, meron tayo sa June 17, 2026, 7 p.m., AI para sa individual. Paano makakatulong sa trabaho ang AI? Thanks to SME Pinoy Tech Talks and to NICP, we really are going to be educated on how to adapt to this age, at the same time protect ourselves. So, sabi nga ng isang participant natin kanina, we can be both on the defensive and maybe here more on the offensive, in the sense na we can grow our businesses. We can open doors, no, to growth and more opportunities. So, ayun po. That's yeah, so here are following schedules. Ito po yung kailangan nating abangan for the next for our next webinars. Once again, I am Yada Cherise Parlade, your host for the evening. Thank you once again to SME Pinoy Tech Talks and to NICP and to Sir Jonathan as well for this evening. We hope you guys learned a lot. Ayun. Thank you everyone. Please don't forget to answer the feedback form and to check out yung mga links na nasa chat box. Thank you. Have a blessed evening.